Hello guys, how are you?
I'm Hardeep Singh. Welcome back to your own YouTube channel. IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test, and speaking, you got guesswork. Please, guys, participate in everyday listening and reading practice test to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Press the bell icon for the upcoming notifications. Don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page, IELTS updates and recent exams.
Part 1.
You will hear a conversation between a student and a woman. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 10. Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 10.
Good afternoon. I'm considering applying to your university and would like to ask you some questions.
Of course, take a seat. Which course are you thinking of applying for?
Southeast Asian Studies.
I see. Do you have a copy of the university prospectus?
Yes, I do. I downloaded it.
So, you know that it's a 4-year course, including 1 year living and working in the region?
Yes, the A-level entrance requirement is BCC, right?
Yes, but on average our students have 3 Bs.
Are there any restrictions on the subjects that I take at A-level?
No, but we find that students studying politics, economics, history, geography or languages tend to find their first year easier. A background in at least 2 or 3 of those subjects is advantageous.
I see. I'm not studying politics or languages, but I am taking the other 3 at A-level. Are languages an important part of the course? You see, I'm not very good at them.
Languages are not a compulsory part of the course. They're optional each year. However, because students spend a year abroad, we strongly recommend that students take one for at least a year beforehand. However, there is a language lab that students are free to use during the day, regardless of the subjects they're taking.
Which languages are offered?
We have 5 on offer: Vietnamese, Burmese, Thai, Indonesian and Tagalog. They can be taken in the 1st, 2nd and 4th years. During the 3rd year, students are expected to learn the basics of the language spoken wherever they are spending their year abroad.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions.
I see. Can I spend my year abroad in any country in the region I choose?
Yes, as long as you can satisfy your tutors that it will benefit your studies. This year, most students have gone to Vietnam, Thailand or the Philippines. Fewer have gone to Indonesia, Burma, Malaysia, Laos or Cambodia. None went to Singapore or Brunei.
What do students generally do during their year abroad?
The vast majority help on aid projects, especially helping with water supply and sanitation in rural areas. Others get involved in teaching English or in business, particularly the logistics side of things. A small minority get jobs translating or checking translations. That's quite well paid, but your language skills have to be up to scratch.
Good. I was attracted by the idea of teaching English or doing aid work.
Very often it's possible to do both. That way you can also develop a wider range of skills.
Thank you for your help. Can I just check the optional courses for Year 1?
The only choice in Year 1 is a language or a project where the student creates a portfolio of background information on the countries of the region. Actually, many students do both, since they find the project contributes to their general understanding of the region, and the languages are obviously useful in preparation for going abroad. However, students are only assessed on either the language or the project, and are free to choose which one.
Got it. And could you tell me about the scholarships that are available from the department? It says in the prospectus that there are some in addition to the ones offered by the university.
Sure. Actually, I've printed out a list. Here you are. Nothing is available for first-year students, but thereafter scholarships are awarded for high overall grades and also for linguistic skills. There is a smaller discretionary award for non-academic contributions.
Well, thank you very much for your help.
That is the end of part 1.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 2.
You'll hear a conversation. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 20. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 20. Welcome to our program on Indian youth. Are young Indians different from their elders? Smarter, lazier, less obedient? We have invited an Indian sociologist, Mr. Singh, to share his views with us. Mr. Singh, many Indians complain that the new generation of Indians is too westernized and has lost touch with its culture. What's your opinion on that?
Whenever a country modernizes, there is speculation that the new generation will be dramatically different from those that preceded it, in particular more westernized. Much of that speculation is based on superficial observations regarding rock music and the like. However, most studies show that new generations retain much, though not all, of the core values of their culture. Cultures change very slowly. What is changing quickly is the environment in which they live, their living standards, opportunities for advancement, and self-fulfillment. Young Indians certainly have more opportunities today.
Where does your information come from?
I have 2 children in their early 20s. I see their generation at close quarters. I often travel to both rural and urban places in India, and I see the young people there. The current generation has, by and large, rejected politics as a primary concern. They have grown up with a TV and a telephone, either at home or in the vicinity. They have watched MTV, but they still go to the temple. And most of them seriously believe that God exists. Regarding the opportunities that Mr. Singh mentioned, for the first time, it is acceptable in India for a kid to say that he or she wants to be an actor, a singer, a fashion designer, a writer, a cricket player as a profession, without parents losing sleep. It also means that they have many choices of role model. When I look at young people around me, I see more hope than helplessness.
Mr. Singh, what is the main advantage that young people in India have?
The biggest advantage the youth of India have is mobility. It is very easy for them to move about the country and follow opportunities. An edge the Chinese youth, for example, do not currently have. Also, young Indians are quickly adapting to new technologies, and English is now being more widely accepted and spoken than ever before. India's youth have a very unique advantage, a combination of mobility, language, and knowledge of technology. Add to that a country that has an entrepreneurial spirit and a very clear intent to adapt to Western culture.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions.
Are there any problems as far as you can see?
I think that the biggest overall problem is with infrastructure. But as far as things that directly affect the younger generation are concerned, I think that the main problem is that parents from the growing middle class are pushing their children ever harder at academic activities. They believe this is the only way to stand out and survive in a system which is cutthroat because of the exploding population, and as education becomes more and more accessible to the masses. However, many parents are granting their children more choice, particularly in the area of choosing their own careers. The youth of today are definitely more aware of the choices available to them.
Do you think that competition is a problem?
Not at all. It leads to creativity. The younger generation is more creative. Competition ensures that creativity is likely to be the best way to get ahead. Though it is largely believed that the culture and value system torch-bearing youth are losing their way, I still believe that relates to a small percentage. The combination of the Indian value system and the Western approach is a winning one, and if the Indian youth can manage to achieve the right balance, global organizations will want their skills.
Mr. Singh, you sound very confident.
I am. Every generation will experience change. This will be more dramatic, especially in the context of development. Simply put, young Indians are more aware about the world they live in. They are more materialistic. They are consumers in the true sense. They are exposed to satellite TV, the internet, freer access to social interaction and mobility. They are global citizens. Adoption of styles and fashion from anywhere, particularly America, is quick. But as several surveys have shown, this openness and confidence does come with some sense of humility and purpose. I feel confident that they can dream and achieve. My generation could only dream.
That is the end of part 2.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to part 3.
You will hear a conversation. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 30. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 30. Hello, Dinesh. Come in. You said on the phone that you had a few problems to discuss with me. Tell me what they are and I'll see what I can do to help.
Thank you very much, Professor. I've been having some problems adapting to the style of learning at a British university and was hoping you could give me some advice.
I'll do my best. You won't be the first overseas student to have problems. What's your first problem?
Well, my first problem is organising my time. I mean, after I worked out my timetable for lectures, seminars and tutorials, I was surprised to find that I had quite a lot of free time. However, that's how it looked on paper, and not as it has turned out in reality.
I see. Take control of this time and organise it carefully. Time that is not organised can disappear very quickly, leaving you rushing to catch up on your work or even running out of time altogether. Learn the essentials of time management. First, make weekly or monthly plans that set out your study targets for the week or month ahead. Schedule time for reading and work out roughly how much you want to read in each session. Plan time to research and write your essays or prepare projects so that you do not have to stay up late doing them at the last minute. Have you made such a plan?
No, I haven't. That's obviously something I should do. I can easily fill that free time with extra studies.
No, that's not what I mean. Don't plan to spend all your extra time studying. Remember to leave some time free for hobbies, sports, seeing friends, or simply relaxing. If you do not take time to enjoy yourself, your work will suffer and you will miss out on many other worthwhile experiences. Make a timetable for your free time if you like. Plan when to see your friends. Play your favourite sport or just hang out. Don't forget to revise your plans if you need to. As you progress through your course, you will get a better idea of how much time you need for different activities. Adjust your schedules and keep them realistic.
So you're saying that I need to keep a balance between work and play, and keep an eye on things to make sure that I'm not doing too much or too little?
That's right. Feel free to show me your plan when you've made one.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you will have some time to look at questions,
Thank you. My next problem is coping with my course. Living abroad in a new environment makes studying more challenging than usual. I'm worried about my progress and about how I will cope with examinations.
These concerns are natural, but do not let them overwhelm you. Here are 2 simple ways you can stay in control of your studies. First, ask for regular meetings with your tutor. In your case, that's me, to review your progress and discuss any problems. You're doing that now, so you've taken the first step. Let me know if you are having any language difficulties, though in your case that seems doubtful. As you are probably aware, there is a language centre here where all students can use language learning materials, but it's probably not of much use to you. Second, why not try to form a mutual support group with other international students to discuss common challenges and to share useful ideas? This can be particularly helpful if you find the teaching methods very different from those you have experienced before. Another type of support group could be other students in your subject area. Get together with students on similar courses to discuss the issues, swap ideas, and give each other support.
Yes, the second idea is particularly good. As you know, there are not so many overseas students on this course, but I know some other students from my country on other courses here. I think that I feel overwhelmed because I have set myself unrealistic goals. Just talking to you has made me realise that I need to take a more realistic approach and put my problems into perspective.
Just remember that whatever concerns you may have about new learning methods, managing your time or handling your workload, there is someone here who can help. I'm happy to be that person. All you have to do is ask. Hopefully I can offer you a practical solution.
Thank you very much. There is one other thing. When we had the orientation, the International Student Advisor mentioned a book that's available from the campus bookshop. It's not specifically for overseas students, but she said it was useful. I didn't write it down. You wouldn't happen to know the book I mean, would you?
I know it. I recommend it. It's called Learn How to Learn by David Warner. I'm popping over to the bookshop myself now. Perhaps we could go together.
That is the end of part 3.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
Now turns to Part 4.
You will hear a lecture. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40. Part of the role of university education is to prepare students for their professional life and career. Part of this preparation is to introduce and train students in lifelong learning, preparing them to approach their career as a continuous learning experience, rather than assuming that the end of their university education represents an end goal beyond which there is no need for further learning. Therefore, students are encouraged to develop as independent learners. An independent learner is one who takes responsibility for his or her own learning and is not always dependent on teacher being available to guide and correct. Such a student sets their own learning goals, makes their own decisions as to when and how to study for these goals, and also evaluates their own progress and develops further goals. This is not always easy for students, particularly those whose secondary education has been very teacher-focused, with teaching conducted mainly in lecture format and with little opportunity for the students to take any control of the learning process. At university, while much teaching is conducted via lectures, students are expected to become increasingly independent in their learning. Departments approach this issue in a number of ways. For example, they might provide personal mentors. This could be a student or a member of staff who is available to discuss problems that the student might have and who will support the student in the process of becoming an independent learner. The second one requires the student to make certain choices about their course, either in the elements they choose to learn or in the way in which they choose to learn them. Thirdly, there is the provision of learning opportunities outside the confines of the campus, including study trips and student exchanges. In the English Language Centre, we try to help the development of learner independence. This English Language Centre is a self-access one. A self-access centre is a place where learners come voluntarily to improve the subject that they are studying. In the case of the English Language Centre, we focus on English language. In a self-access centre, it is the student who decides what to study, when to study, how long to study, what materials to use, how to use the materials, and how to assess effectiveness. The learner is not, however, left totally alone. Learners are encouraged to come to the centre in groups, so that they can help each other in the learning process. And there is also always an English teacher available to answer any questions that students might have, to discuss their progress, and to help the learner assess their work. Let's take an example. Mary and her friend Jim have decided they need to improve their report writing skills. They decide to go to the ELC twice in the next week, for 2 hours each time, from 5 o'clock to 7 o'clock. The first thing they do is talk to the English teacher there, to help them identify what particular elements of writing a report they find especially difficult. Having done this, they identify suitable books, videos, or computer programs from the index, with help from the teacher if needed. Looking at the materials, they decide which to use first, and how to best to use it. Working through the materials, they discuss problems with each other, compare notes, and evaluate each other's work and progress. This process of working together is important, as the students are able to support each other in the learning process. Of course, sometimes they need more help, and so they ask the English teacher at the centre. When they have finished their studies, they review what they have studied, with help from their notes, and evaluate the extent to which they have, or have not, achieve their initial aim. In the light of this, they will decide to either do more work on the same topic or move to another topic, either related to this one or something completely different. There are many ways students can improve their English independently of a teacher. Firstly, they can use English language videos in conjunction with learning activities, such as exercises to practice particular listening skills, questions to lead discussions on the topic introduced by the video. They can do follow-up tasks that use the content of the video to focus on other language skills, such as learning vocabulary or understanding the grammar used by the characters in the video. Secondly, they can use a computer program to improve their pronunciation by identifying and then practicing the individual sounds used in English. Thirdly, they can use a book to find a model business letter, for example, writing one of the same type but with different information, and then discussing it with the ELC teacher before finally rewriting it. Finally, they can use newspapers or magazines as stimuli for discussion activities, with a brief report written at the end, summarizing the discussion. However, the development of an independent learner is not dependent on a centre like the ELC. Within the university, as well as within individual departments, the library, the Student Affairs Office and the Student Union all provide a range of opportunities for the student to develop as an independent learner. Outside the campus, the opportunities are both physical and virtual. Physical ones include libraries, museums and other centres, as well as various special interest groups. In the virtual world of the Internet, the opportunities are both global and vast. To conclude, in a world in which change is central to our continued survival, the professional must have the adaptability and flexibility of a lifelong learner. A lifelong learner must be an independent learner, able to take responsibility for all stages of the learning process. It is the student's responsibility to take advantage of the various opportunities on offer.
That is the end of part 4.
You now have half a minute to check your answers.
So guys, don't forget like, subscribe and share my YouTube channel and my Facebook page. IELTS updates and recent exams. For more updates related to recent IELTS exam writing test topics, listening, reading, practice test and speaking, you got guesswork. Please guys, participate in everyday new IELTS listening and reading practice tests to achieve your desired band score in your actual IELTS exam. For more IELTS material, visit my official website www.ieltsupdatesandrecentexams.com. The link is given below in the description. If you need PDF files of latest IELTS material, then please join my Telegram channel. So guys, please write your score below the comment section. Again, thanks for listening. God bless you all guys. Stay tuned, stay safe.